Hello, Andrea, and welcome at Data Science Conference Europe as one of our keynote speakers. So you've had more than 10 years of experience in Microsoft, and you became the leader of the Belgrade office team. And you also have 10 years of experience as a lecturer at our Patent Scientific Center. So could you explain a bit more about your career path and what inspired you most?
Yes, so first, thanks for having me, both in the interview and as a keynote speaker. Glad to be here. So let me start with the second part first, like motivation, inspiration. This essentially changes over time, right? What inspired me as a kid is different than today. But for me, at least, it was more on like intrinsic level of motivation. Like as a kid, it was just pure joy of solving technical problems or such. And today is more about, I would say, empathy. And this is one of the reasons I like working in offices. We are all focused about making technology and specifically AI working for people and making their lives easier in a sense. So when it comes to career, I would say it's a pretty straightforward. Like I loved a lot of focus on STEM sciences, a lot of science camp competitions. I am also fortunate to have an older brother with similar interests, so we were always pushing ourselves forward. So that's essentially also why this conference is important, like that sense of community and having somebody to work with, talk with is of extreme importance. And then career, Microsoft, I started with it as an internship for several months and then moved to engineer, then engineering manager, and finally group engineering manager. So it's a bit of roller coaster, a lot of different projects and learnings throughout the journey.
Yeah. The sibling rivalry probably helps as well. So your title at Microsoft is Principal Group Engineering Manager.
Yeah.
So could you explain a bit what are your day-to-day activities, and could you, let's say, paint a picture to young engineers what it's like to work at Microsoft?
So I ask my that question very, very often. Like principal part is just the level of seniority. Like group engineering manager means leading portfolio of projects. Now, for any manager, not just me, like you usually have three pillars that you focus on, like people, leadership, technical leadership, and project leadership. And your day-to-day work essentially is some sort of histogram where you focus more where you need based on the three pillars. So, for example, people means you're focused on people, and this is very critical, like building a team, building the right culture, helping with work-life balance, growth of the people, adjustment with like personal business priorities, things like that. Then there is a technical, you need to be focused a lot of building robust systems, scalable, because what we ship, it's used by like hundreds of millions of users. That code will live for decades probably. So a lot of these across teams collaborations, how to make the architecture right. And finally, there is a product leadership. Like you need to stay on top. So we read a lot of papers, what's happening in the community. We do a lot of experimentation, all those kind of things. So the second part was to young engineers. The career in AI specifically, but in software engineering, but AI specifically is lifelong, probably decades for sure. So whenever your starting point is, that's okay. You need to focus on building foundations, but foundations are both like technical skills, but also habits of constantly learning, having conversation with the community, etc. So I would say also that the failing part, which how our education system is working, is that you need to succeed always. So it's okay to fail, because failing is good. Essentially, it means that you are stretching your boundaries, you're constantly learning, and if you're not failing, quote unquote failing, it means that you're in your comfort zone. So I would just suggest to everybody, even if they want to work in Microsoft or any other company, but they don't think they're prepared, apply for job or internship. It's okay. Even if you don't get it, you will learn a lot through that process.
Thank you for that. And the talk here at the conference for you is bridging the gap between AI and human-centered products. So could you, in short detail, discuss a bit more about your talk?
Yes. So each day we can read about the extremely awesome breakthroughs in AI. But sad reality, unfortunately, is still that these are just proof of concept today, and it will take years for us to ship it in production at scale, and also that human-centered product is also important because we need to make them work for people. Like, for example, the metrics that we use for training the models, they don't reflect maybe what user needs to build. Then we need to explain user what's happening, we need to retrain the model so that essentially there are a lot of gaps that we need to bridge in order to make this AI and humanity coexist. And in my talk, I talk about some of these gaps. Of course, I don't have a solution, but we then talk about some of the trends in the research which are helping us bridge this gap.
And you talk about products and breakthroughs in research areas. So what are the phases between research and then application? And if it's not a big secret, what is Microsoft's approach going from this research phase to the application phase to the actual final product?
Yeah, so I even put it like this. There shouldn't be a phase between research and application. They need to coexist and work together. Of course, there are a lot of research for quote-unquote sake of research, so something that will be shipped in 10 years. But when you think about the products, like research and application needs to work together. Like how AI usually works, you create a model, which is sort of okay, generalist model. You ship it, and then it's only start of the journey. You want to collect the data, you want to retrain the models, you need to adjust user experience, you want to adjust the engineering system. So both appliance science, engineers, product managers, we all need to work together. So the phases are essentially, there is no, it's not like one building laboratory, they create quote-unquote model, then pass it through some stages to production. So essentially, this is probably there is no Microsoft strategy, but it's anchoring to this. Working together, human in the center and human in the loop in order to create AI that works for people.
Yeah. That sounds very logical, and thank you for your insight. To end the interview, what is your main takeaway from the conference so far, and what would you recommend for future attendees?
Yeah, so first, I wasn't even aware of what's happening out there, even only in Serbia. So I met a lot of people, I learned a lot, and I think that these conferences are very important for us. Like AI is a very tricky thing. And in order for us to have AI and humanity in coexistence, we really need to work together, like both business, academia, society. And these kind of conferences are of extreme importance for us to make sure that while we might have some short-term goals which are different, the long-term goal is something which is very scary in a way, but also exciting, and we need to work together. And this is the place where we can all talk, learn new things, and establish those connections for the future.
Yeah. Thank you, and thank you for the interview. I hope you enjoyed the conference and then that you will enjoy it so far, and hope to see you next year as well.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Welcome to Data Science Conference Europe. My name is Andreja Ilic, and I am leading Office Serbia team at Microsoft here in Belgrade. Let's change world through data.